was a day like any other day. Not too hot, not too cold. It was a Thursday, I believe, early November. We were in Atlantic City getting ready for the State Teachers Convention. Each year, 20,000 New Jersey educators get together to celebrate education and to learn how to do their craft better. I was excited that day because for the first time, the NJEA was allowing me to bring my broadcasting booth and provide a little bit of TeacherCast TV to the organization. I remember getting up at 5 o'clock that day, getting ready, getting out. Why would that day be like any other day? But it was. The conference was scheduled to last until about 5 o'clock. I had a full day of professional development, interviews, and it was going to be an amazing time. My wife was there with me. We were staying in the hotel right across. And around 1 o'clock, she came. We had lunch together. And then about 1:30, gave her a hug. She went back to the hotel. She says, I'm going to go take a nap. I said, all right, I'll see you around 5 o'clock. About 4 o'clock, I get a phone call. She says, not feeling too good. Think I might need you to come on over to the hotel. I said, all right, it's going to take me about an hour or so to get set up and tear down and everything. I had a lot of equipment with me. She says, no. It's time. You need to come on over here now. 25 weeks and 5 days earlier than that, my wife and I were sitting in a doctor's office. And I remember very, very clearly the one thing that the doctor said to me. See, I was waiting for him to say a sentence, but I wasn't waiting for him to say this sentence, and I certainly wasn't expecting to see what I was about to see. Many of you guys have had the same experience. You sit down with the doctor, and the doctor says, would you like to see them? So there we were, and I was going through this sentence over and over again. Would you like to see them? I wasn't ready for this sentence. I was expecting something like, would you like to see him? Would you like to see her? Would you like to see it? No. My wife and I got, would you like to see them? And we knew that at that moment, our lives were going to be changed forever. We knew that there was going to be risks involved. We knew that the rewards were going to be great. And we knew that this was the start of the rest of our lives together. So there we were at that doctor's office. Time went on. Babies got bigger. And there's a huge transition from when you hear that, would you like to see them, to it really, really sinks in. And I want to share with you guys the moment that the word them really sank in for me. This is a picture of my daughter. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? It was up until this point where I had no idea what love was, and I truly fell for my kids at this point. So they got bigger. This is Robert on the top, Sarah, and Christopher. As we knew back then, baby boy A, baby boy B, and baby girl C. It's an interesting thing when you put a name to an actual human. So back to November. There I was, broadcasting, doing my thing, and 4 o'clock, I'm told, things are going crazy. I have to stop. I have to move on. We got to do this. So I get over to the hotel, leave all my stuff at the convention, have friends take care of that for me. They said, go be with your wife. I was frantic. I get to my wife. I immediately called 911. Ambulance comes, and next thing I know, here I am in a hospital in Atlantic City. I had no idea what was going on, but little did I know I was going to be a dad that day. Not only once, not only twice, but 3 times over. It was absolutely insane. And so what you have to understand is when the babies are born at 25 weeks, there's a lot of complications. There's a lot of risks that are involved in all of this stuff. Their due date was in February, but here we were in November. Each of the babies came out at under 2 pounds. Now, when the birthing process happens, all the fathers want to hear, "Ah!" That didn't happen. Baby 1 came out, baby 2 came out, baby 3 came out. Luckily, we were at the hospital right in the middle of shift change. We had 15 doctors, all at the same time, ready to go on the call. And we were very, very lucky. We didn't know if one was going to survive. We didn't know if two were going to survive. And we certainly didn't know if all three were going to survive. When you're born at 25 weeks, you don't have eyes, you'd hardly have lungs, and you look like a tadpole. You are translucent. The first time I saw my kids, I literally saw the person's hand through them. Would you like to see them? This is Robert on the right, Christopher in the middle, and Sarah on the left. It truly is an amazing thing. We're here to talk today about risks and rewards, and there's no bigger risk than going through the whole process here. This is actually a picture of the night that they were born. It was really amazing. I'll never, absolutely, ever forget it. We didn't get through the night as easily as we wanted to. It was around 1 o'clock when we got a phone call in our hospital from downstairs in the NICU. And basically the doctor said to us, guys, we have some problems. Can you come down here immediately? So I went down, and my wife was still in the bed, and they wheeled her down. They said, we have a complication to talk about. Christopher has some issues. There's extra air outside of his lungs, and we want to perform a procedure where essentially you take a straw, stick it in the side of him to get some of the air out. We said, okay, do whatever you need. Try it. And about an hour later, we get a call that says, it's not working. We have some complications here. We're going to call in for backup. So at 3 in the morning, a team of angels came from DuPont Children's Hospital in Delaware, and they helicoptered in, wrapped up my little baby, and they flew him away. So there I was on the first night of being a father. 3 months before I was actually ready for it, I had 2 babies in Atlantic City, and I had 1 baby in Delaware, and I had to take care of my family. Pretty awesome. Time went on. Babies got bigger. See, one of the things you have to understand is the NICU staff at these hospitals, Atlantic Care Regional and at DuPont, are amazing. If you ever have a chance to learn a little bit about NICUs and what happens in a NICU, it'll make you cry. These people truly are awesome. They have one job. That job is to take care of the parents. Every single time that we went out to see them, they made sure that we were okay. Physically, psychologically, emotionally. They knew the risks that we were taking by having them, and they knew that the rewards were going to be greater when they came out. So week after week, we couldn't really take them out. They were in incubators. They were under a blue light because they were still 25 weeks, 27 weeks. They're what you call micro-preemies. Finally, around Christmas time, we were able to start and hold them. And you can see as they get bigger, their color changes a little bit, and they were doing well. The neat thing about it is the community really, really revolved around helping us. And here's an article that happened in our paper up by where I was working at the time. And eventually, we had some pretty cool times together, but we were still in 2 different spots. Atlantic City was 60 miles away one direction. DuPont was 60 miles away in another direction. I told you their due date was in February, and I'll never forget the day that we were actually allowed to bring one of them home. They said, you can bring Robert home. And we did. We wrapped him up. I was so nervous. I'd been a father for 3 months, but I was actually being told to take this precious thing home with us. So what, of course, is the first thing that you do as a father when you take your child home with you for the first time? Well, you get into an accident. Pretty awesome, right? Well, look, I knew that having 3 kids was the most awesomest thing I could happen, and we were lucky to have 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl, because you see where we come from, that's somebody to mow the lawn, somebody to do the snow shoveling, and I only have to pay for 1 wedding. I even enlisted them in the Jedi Order. Actually, here's a picture of them shortly after that. They're amazing little kids. And you can actually find them online right now. We call them the Edu-triplets. You can go on there onto Twitter. They have a couple hundred Twitter followers. But I promise you, they might take a while to respond to you. I told them not to talk to strangers. So I tell you these things today to really have you think about where you are. Where are the risks and where are the rewards? What are you doing in your life that's risky, that you know ultimately we are going to have rewards? Ask yourself these questions today. Where are you? What are you doing with your lives? What risks are you taking? But most importantly, how are you sharing your passions with everybody else? See, I have a very unique career these days, thanks to my Edu-triplets. I have a new position, and my position is as a teacher, but it's not necessarily to work with students. I have the awesome responsibility of working with adults. I am brought in to provide professional development to teachers, administrators, and students. And the other day I was working with a teacher, and she asked this question. She says, "What exactly do you do here? I see you running around the district, and you're teaching Google, and you're teaching storyboard that, and you're teaching all these different things that are happening." And I said, well, I only really have one function here. My job is to inspire creativity. My job here is to be the conduit for greatness in you and in your classrooms. Much like those NICU workers were inspiring us to go day after day, week after week, to make sure that everything is going to be okay. I said, if I come into your classroom and I teach you how to do a Google Doc and I leave, I've done my job, but really I haven't done very much. If I come in here and I show you something that's going to inspire your creativity to then be awesome with your students, that's my job. That's our job as educators, and that's our job as people here. I'm here to help you think outside of the box. And I want you guys today to take a moment and ask yourselves, are you thinking outside of the box? Are you standing outside of the box? Or are you looking in? Are you trying to do something that nobody else has done before? Or are you conforming to the norms of society? People say that if you have triplets, you must be crazy. I hear that constantly. They said, triplets? Dude, how do you do it? I'm reminded of two quotes. The first one is by somebody who's been very, very inspirational in my life, the late Steve Jobs. And he says, it's the people, the ones who think they are crazy enough to change the world are the ones that actually do. Think about this. It's got to be crazy to have triplets. It's got to be crazy to do what you're doing. Are you today going to be crazy in your life and change the world? Are you going to do something that's going to make somebody else think and really have an impact on what's going on? I have another quote, and the quote is from Henry Ford. It's a really, really important quote for me. If you think you can or can't, you're probably right. I first saw this quote in Baltimore when I was dating my wife. We call this PT, pre-triplets. We were at Peabody, and we were in her teacher studio, and on a cup I saw this motto: if you think you can or can't, you're probably right. And it didn't hit me at the time, but over the little bit I just kept thinking about that. If you think you can or can't, you're probably right. If you think you can do something, don't let anybody stop you. If you think you can have triplets, don't let anybody stop you. If you think you can run a mile, don't let anybody stop you. I have this motto in my office, and I look at it every day. It's the same motto I tell all my teachers. It's the same motto I tell all my students. And when I was teaching orchestra a few years ago, it's the same motto that put us on Carnegie Hall stage. And I love this picture because it really shows what students can do when they put their mind to things. If you think you can do something, don't let anybody stop you. So here we are. Time has passed. My kids are now 29 months old. Just let that sink in. 29-month-old triplets. Here's a picture of Robert. He's doing really, really well. His favorite words, and I love this for him, his favorite words are Darth Vader. And recently we took Sarah on a shopping spree of Toys R Us, which was a mistake because this is what she picked out. And they have a wonderful time growing up together and playing together. But I have 3 kids. And the interesting part is I only have 2 that are living with me. My son still has complications. My son spent a lengthy time at DuPont Children's Hospital. They're wonderful people. Every one of those doctors and nurses walk around every single day with angel wings. They really are amazing. And at some point in time, they came to my wife and I and they said, we need to perform an operation on your son because he's just not able to breathe on his own anymore. We need to do something to get him to the next level. So with a lot of emotion and a lot of thought, my wife and I opted to get him what's called a tracheostomy. Put a hole in his throat. Talk about risks and rewards. I think about this every single day. My wife and I decided to put a hole in my son's throat, but we did that to save his life and improve his quality of living. And from there, they said, well, we need to move him to another establishment because hospitals are for sick people, and if your son is living in a hospital, he's going to get sick. So we made the risk of sending him to the top place in the country that specialized in trach babies. Luckily, at the time, it just happened to be 9 miles from our house. But right now, it's actually a 3-hour drive because we have a new job, and my wife and I recently moved closer to that job. I want to share with you a little bit about Christopher right now. He's amazing. He's, again, 29 months old, and he's got a tracheostomy. And I miss him every day. He's doing really well, but he is absolutely the vision for what can happen when you have risks and rewards. In order to save my son, we needed to think outside of the box. We needed to come up with a plan that wasn't the run-of-the-mill plan. We needed to do something awesome to save my son. And I know very soon he will be home, and I know very soon he will be with us, and we'll actually have 3 babies under one roof. And I know very soon they're all going to be saying Darth Vader. So in closing, I want to take a moment to remind you, every day is a new day. Every action you do comes from your thought process. If you think you can or can't do something, you're always going to be right. If you think you can raise triplets, raise triplets. If you think you can stand on a red, round rug, go stand on a red, round rug. If you think you can get straight A's, go get straight A's. Thank you very much for having me here. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us. Please follow our EduTriplets on Twitter. And until next time, keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with the world.